Levels. Bevels. Devils. Hello, this is the Never Heard of It podcast, and I'm Shawn.
And I'm Craig, and we are going to talk about some of the movies that have fallen through our cracks.
That's right, and I think we have a fun one today. There's some animals in this one, and I think we should, Craig, this time give a whole full flag. What am I trying to say? A
false flag?
A full-flavored spoiler alert right up front.
Sure.
Because, once again, this is a relatively recent movie, and with those, maybe some of you haven't got around to checking this out that should have by now and still want to, there are some definitely surprising moments in this movie that at least caught me off guard, and I want to talk about them, so we're going to do that. So, yeah, if you haven't watched it yet and are really dying to, pause this one, go listen to something else, and go check out White God.
That's right. That sounds good.
How are you doing today, Craig?
I'm doing all right. I got a little bit of a cold, so my voice sounds a little sexier than normal, maybe.
I don't know if I can handle that, but I think we'll power through it.
I know, right? It seems impossible, but how are you doing, Shawn?
I'm good. I'm ready to talk about some dogs.
Let's talk about dogs.
So the movie today is once again called White God. This is a Hungarian movie from 2014. It was directed by Cornel Mundruczó.
Very good pronunciation.
Thank you. And stars Sofia Soda.
Perfect.
Sandor Soter. Lily Horvath. And some others whose names I'm just going to save them the embarrassment of butchering. But most importantly, this movie stars a dog, a character named Hagen, as in Haagen-Dazs, and delicious like ice cream. He was played by two dogs named Luke and Bodie.
Love it.
And you may remember from previous mention of this movie, Craig brought this up earlier, and I said, yeah, Craig, I've definitely heard of White God. We're not watching it. And then I came back around. I said, Craig, let's watch White God and do a special Heard of It episode. So that's what we're doing today. I think if you've spent enough time flicking around Netflix, you've probably seen this, specifically the image of a bunch of dogs sitting down in the street or a girl on a bicycle pedaling away fast as she can from a whole pack of dogs running through a city street in Budapest. That is this movie, and that's what we're going to talk about.
Let's do it.
Craig, since we both had heard of this movie and knew a little bit about it, I want to say right up front, it definitely was not what I expected, but I kind of loved it, and it's a crazy movie. Like, this is a crazy movie. I think everybody's got to see this regardless of what we think about it. But what about you? I mean, were you thrown for as much of a surprise as I was to where this plot ends up going? Or,
I mean, yes.
No.
It wasn't what I was... It wasn't what I was thinking it was going to be. I hadn't put a lot of thought into what I thought it was going to be honest. But I still, for whatever reason, it was still going to be in the sort of horror movie genre of like nature run amok. It's like, for whatever reason, the dogs have gone crazy. And that's not really it. I mean, and to be honest with you, I came away a little bit disappointed. Not at all disappointed in visuals or the scope the ambition of this movie is incredible. But I came away a little disappointed, and which we can get into as we go along.
Maybe my reason. Well, this is interesting because I think maybe I know somewhat why this perhaps happened. For whatever reason in my head, I kind of had this pegged as, a foreign art house family movie of sorts. Like I thought this was like a happy story about just dogs going crazy in the city.
Right?
This girl sort of leading the herd here, as it were. And boy, there's some serious darkness in this movie. And I'll pull up a synopsis today. It's actually just right on Google's main page when you search for this. It says, failing in his efforts to find his beloved owner, an abandoned dog eventually joins a canine revolt against their human abusers.
Yeah.
And that's fairly accurate, I think. Again, not what I was expecting at all. This movie, Yeah, boy, it gets dark. I mean, there were moments where, just to throw out one just stupid reference, but it does feel like you've got the dog Walter White sort of becoming the dog Heisenberg.
Kind of, yeah.
This thing, like it's that trajectory in a lot of ways. It doesn't sort of end on that final moment, but yeah, and again, just I did not see that coming at all. But the main plot sort of centers around a young girl, but she is dropped off by her mom and her stepdad to stay with her father while they go to Australia for a conference. And her father is a meat inspector. There's a very graphic scene of a, already dead cow, thankfully, being prepared. And he was not expecting her to show up with this dog, Hagen, who they keep calling a mutt. I don't know. It definitely looks like it's got some pit bull in there somewhere. But just to give people a reference there or an idea of its size. And boy, within minutes of that happening, you just get a sense that everybody in this girl's life hates this dog. Like they're all just, man, one after another. The neighbor, just not a nice person. The dad, not a nice person. The band teacher, terrible person. Like horrible human beings to this poor girl. And this dog, which could not be a sweeter dog. So yeah, the synopsis of this movie, which I'm going to read just from Google's main page when you search for this film, says, failing in his efforts to find his beloved owner, an abandoned dog eventually joins a canine revolt against their human abusers. And I don't think that's completely off the target for this movie. Right, and definitely not what I was not expecting the canine revolt. I did not see that coming. I was expecting something nice and sweet. And yeah, so I got thrown a little bit for a loop there. The movie kind of starts off with a very striking, I guess it's a flash forward. I don't even know what you call this, but it ends up being bookended. But with the girl Lily, can't remember how it said, riding her bike as fast as she can through the empty streets. It's almost like post-apocalyptic, like a zombie movie. There's nobody out in this beautiful city of Budapest. And then she like rounds the corner on her bike, and the next thing you know, there's like 40, 50 dogs flying after her. And, we should note up front, these are real dogs to the best that I could tell. Doing very real things. Amazing animal training in this movie. I mean, you watch a handful of movies a year where you're like, I don't know how they did that. And on many instances, I was thinking that in this movie, like, I do not know how they get these animals to do these things. And boy, that's refreshing to see in a lot of ways. But after that little opening, you sort of move into, I guess it was probably a couple days earlier, right? Or maybe weeks. But anyway, Lily is being dropped off at her father's house by her mom and her stepdad. They're going to Australia for a conference. She's being left with her dad, who is not expecting her to come with a dog, and is immediately antagonistic about the fact that she's got this dog, Hagen. And as soon as they walk in the apartment building, the neighbor is antagonistic about the dog. And it's just one after another where, boy, the humans in this movie are not nice. And, I think obviously it's making a statement. I mean, this movie, there's probably, PETA people waving their flags of, support for this movie. And, if the director is a vegetarian or a vegan, that would not surprise me because, the dad is a meat inspector, and you get this sort of gruesome shot of, the killed cattle being prepared for market and stamped with the seal of approval by the dad. But yeah, what did you feel about that getting into it? Because in some ways I had a hard time sort of connecting. There's a lot of like documentary style feel to this movie, and there's a lot of handheld. I mean, I don't think the camera is ever on a tripod. And so it's very intimate in that way, and very sort of naturalistic with the girl and sort of her interactions with the dog. But then, yeah, like, oh, man, there's some really extreme examples of bad people here. Did that bother you at all as far as, like, were you able to make that connection that you're still in the real world, even though these people hopefully are extreme examples of people that hate dogs? Like, I don't know how anybody hates a dog for...
Well, yeah, I think that was a part of my problem as it went on. Mm-hmm. Was it was very easy to feel like we're in the real world at the beginning. And the further it went on, the less it felt like this was the real world. I mean, almost really to the point of laughter at one point. And during a part that I feel like was actually supposed to be really intense. And that's where I kind of had to start questioning, you know, why am I having that response? You know, because otherwise I'm enjoying the movie. Like, I really like this girl character. I really like Lily, and I really like Hagen, and I'm pretty worried about their situation. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I also at the beginning I also was thinking this was going to be something about meat is murder. You know, it's going to be about how these animals are going to take revenge on the humans for, I don't know. It doesn't really make sense, like killing cows or something. It doesn't, like, none of that really made sense, but it was very much like this is how animals are treated.
Yeah.
And they're just looked down upon, and they're just, you know, not good enough or something.
Well, I think it's, it's somewhat easier to make the connection to the parable of humans being treated. You know, if you treat a human like an animal long enough, mm-hmm. eventually they're going to bite you. You know, I think it's very easy to sort of make that connection. But yeah, I had a little bit of a hard time with the pack of it all. But
another thing that actually bothered me early on, and I at the time I just assumed, well, I don't know much about the culture or the society in Budapest, and so I thought, okay, well, maybe it's totally normal for this guy to be coming by and saying that you have to pay money to keep the dog, and a woman from upstairs would say that it tried to attack you, and that was just fine, like just accepted. I don't know, that stuff just started to seem weird already.
Right.
Like, what kind of world is it? Like, this dog is in an apartment. Why are you worried about the dog?
Yeah, I wondered that too. I don't know anything about the culture as well, but I think as it went on, I suspected that, okay, no, this is not a cultural thing. I think this is being done very specifically to paint these people like this, because they're all horrible. Because I think that's the only way maybe you come around to cheering for these dogs going off the handle and just attacking the shit out of people at the end, right?
Right. Well, and that was the other thing that is sort of was the thought that started growing at that point, where the guy came by to get money or whatever for the dog, was, you know, this is an allegory. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of where I started sort of drifting away from the idea that this is a real story.
Right. I also, just in some of the opening stuff, you know, you've got this very sweet, innocent girl. Mm-hmm. She's planning to let the dog sleep in her bed at her dad's. He's like, no, dog's gonna sleep outside. The dog goes outside, starts whimpering. She brings it in, takes it to the bathroom, plays her trumpet for it, calms it down. There's things in that opening 10 minutes that I was like, this could totally be in, like, Marley and Me. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Like, mm-hmm. But it's not. It has that sort of, like, foreign art house vibe to it, you know, the way that it's executed. Yeah. Which I thought, again, just not having done my homework as to what I was getting into, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be like this cool, like, Milo and Otis movie, but done with, like, this really kind of interesting cinematic sensibility. Mm-hmm. And so, again, threw me for a bit of a curve after that. But the big sort of, you know, if you're finding your point of conflict, inciting incident, if you will, in this movie is when the dad picks up the girl at school where she's taken the dog and gotten thrown out of band practice because, of course, the dog did not want to just stay in a closet while this band is playing. And the dad stops the car, takes the dog, leaves it on the side of the road. They pull off. And yeah, I mean, some of those shots are like pulling at the heartstring. Just the shots of Hagen preparing to cross the street in traffic was like enough to give me a panic attack. Like, I don't do well with that, you know. And it's just crazy. Like, it's so, I forget what it's like to see a movie that kind of takes the POV of a live animal, you know? And so you're treated to extended sequences where it does that. And I was like, oh, holy shit. Like, we're really going to follow this guy. Like, he's going to be a character, this dog. And, man, I don't know, like, just a shot, like, every time he's walking in front of a bridge and the boat honks its horn, and just seeing the dog, like, react to that naturally and spontaneously, and, like, it's not rehearsed or anything like that.
Yeah.
Every single time, like, oh, that's such a great shot. Like,
for sure.
Again, it's like, I don't even know how you get a dog to walk 5 feet in a general direction on camera and get any sort of emotion out of it or anything like not make it look fake. Yeah. So all that stuff just kind of blew me away. But then, the dog sort of meets up with these other dogs, and there's clearly like a pack that's running around in the city and going through garbage cans. And then you've got the dog catchers that are coming after them with the loops. Mm-hmm. And they're sort of, they're not played comedically, but they're definitely, there's no depth to the dog catchers, right?
Right.
They're just coming after them, and the dogs have to get away from them. But, I can't remember exactly how it happened. I think there's a homeless man of sorts.
Yes.
Who captured Hagen very easily, gently.
Yes.
And then sells him to a guy who trains dogs for dogfighting.
Yes.
All right. So, yeah. And that happens, what are we, like 25, 30 minutes into the movie?
About that, yeah.
So, yeah, you got to make it to that point, and if you're at all sensitive to watching dogs on film and anything like that, like, that's your point to check out. Like, it's like, I don't know, it felt like watching, a training montage from like Rocky or something, but with a dog. And it was like, that stuff was horrifying to me. Like, I really struggled with that. And, I wasn't quite sure where I was going, but obviously it's kind of inevitable. He ends up in the ring, and that dog fight, man, it's rough.
Yeah, all of that stuff. How do you train a dog to act like it's being trained to be aggressive without training it to be aggressive?
No, I don't know.
I don't get how you could, like, teach the dog one thing and not the other. It's kind of insane.
That shot, do you remember the shot of like Hagen right after he killed the other dog in the ring? And like, it's like, De Niro in Raging Bull just like towering over his like fallen opponent with blood dripping off him. It is like shocking in a way. Like, actually, I wrote down, like, it reminded me of like D'Onofrio on the toilet in Full Metal Jacket when he's gone like full postal.
Oh yeah.
It is like, it's disturbing, like that shot. And like, again, to think like, how do you get that look out of a dog like for multiple takes? Like, I don't know. There's got to be an amazing making of for this movie, or not.
I hope so.
I don't know. I'm assuming no dogs were harmed, but boy, it looks like it.
It sure looks like it.
But yeah, again, like, all this is sort of being paired with, at the same time, Lily is looking for her dog and going out and like running away, staying out, getting into trouble. And she goes to the pound to see if it's there. And there's a moat in front of the in front of the pound. Like, I don't know what that was, but there's a very
I didn't understand the function of that.
Like 3-yard long puddle.
Yeah. Maybe it's just man-made to keep people from walking up to the door.
Don't know.
I don't understand why that was there now.
Yeah, but so the girl's there, and like the woman that's running the pound is not nice. Because I was thinking, okay, maybe it's just the men in this movie that are all jerks. She's not nice. And while Lily is there, somebody steals her bicycle when she got off the curb. Yeah. So it's just like, oh man, this poor girl. It's a rough society there. But then I don't know, like, the dog, it was a little unclear to me how it escaped after the dog fight. Mm-hmm. I think Hagen just kind of, well, no, wait, he walks out and like, doesn't he jumps over. Is that when he rips the throat out of the trainer, or was that there? Shit.
Wait, at what point?
when Hagen, after he wins his dog fight, and
he wins his dog fight. He doesn't.
There's guys that want to buy him or like expecting
right. No, he just
to buy
runs
him.
away.
Okay,
I don't think he bit anybody's. But then you have that great shot of Hagen like just running down this wooded road, as fast as he can, and in that moment I was 100% on with the movie.
Right.
Like I was just like, man, I know exactly what's going on here, and like you have these great shots of Hagen sort of looking at what he did, and he doesn't understand like why, like he's become a different thing, and he's there's actually some really good dog acting there.
Oh my God. Like every time they run, I could just watch like an hour and a half of them running, like the way they shot this. But, I think like in a different movie, he would have ran straight home to his owner and they would have had their they would have reunited and he had gone through hell to get there. But that's not quite not quite how it goes. So he reunites with the pack. And then just all hell breaks loose.
Indeed, it does.
And so is that where the movie loses you?
Yes.
When the dogs turn on, as a group, as a pack, they turn on pretty much everyone in their path, but they go after specific targets.
Yeah. I mean, that was where, I definitely had my big break from it. Mainly because like at first it's really it's very involving, and it certainly seems like something powerful is coming, and then you have this huge group of dogs just running, and you have the lady from the pound, for instance.
Yeah, they break out of the pound and run through that moat.
She's standing in front of the gates just waiting. Now she's lied to Hagen. And lied to the little girl, said we don't kill dogs here. And then Hagen watches her actually put a dog to sleep.
Yeah.
And so that's about as bad as it gets. I mean, Hagen watched her do that. And now, as I remember, all the dogs just run past her.
They do. I mean, I think she gets knocked down, or she cowers down. Yeah. And it looks like they just kind of left the camera on the ground. One of the dogs ran into it at some point or something. Yeah. It looked like there was a great.
You saw that too.
Moment where the camera moved. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and so that was the thing. Like, so this sequence, these dogs go crazy to the point where they have guys out with guns and they're building barriers to take care of these dogs.
Yeah, there's a total lockdown in the city, and it's a police state. Yeah.
But and correct me if I'm wrong though. Do you ever see a dog mauling anyone else? Because I feel like all I saw after that were people running for their lives and dogs just running past them. And it was kind of hilarious to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit funny. They kill the trainer guy.
Right.
They kill the guy at the that was like the chef in the kitchen who was trying to capture and kill Hagen in the opening for messing around in the trash.
Right.
That guy definitely gets taken out. And I can't remember it. Well, I think they were headed towards the dad, maybe. That's where they end up, is back at the meat inspection place. When Lily kind of stops them at the very end. But they go because they end up at the concert hall in the balcony when Lily's band is playing. Which that was kind of awesome. Like that like when we got to that level, I was like, Jesus, this is like Gremlins 2 in a way. Like, it is sort of like the Gremlins taking over the town, but then, I think it was a Gremlins 2 when they actually go to the movie theater and they're like messing around with the projector. Like, it's not comical like that, but it is so absurd seeing dogs in the balcony just looking down, waiting at these people. I mean, it's like almost like that, Inglourious Bastards when they're like blowing away Hitler and Goebbels. It's just not like, it's nuts. Like, it went to that level where I was just like, this is kind of awesome and kind of insane. Like, I just don't know. Like, you can't take it seriously. I just don't think there's any way you can. And I don't think that they want you to. And yet it's played that way in a lot of ways.
They don't want us to take it comically. No, and I mean, I think they don't. Nothing else in the movie would suggest that they do want that to happen. And I mean, the dogs have killed people. Yeah. but yeah, for some reason, and I guess I shouldn't say for some reason, because I would assume the fact that they have like a mob of 200 dogs, trained dogs, and they have to have all this mob of dogs running, down a street and have actors running. It's like, maybe it's just too much to say, all right, and then this one's going to maul that guy, and that one's going to maul that guy. Like, I don't know. That's what it kind of felt like, though. It's like, okay, we just got to get shots of them running, and just people scared. So it just, it felt, that bit felt a little goofy. But then, they actually end up cornering Lily where her dad works. Like, right, she goes to head to where her dad is. He's been looking for... Oh, and wait a second. Let's back up 1 second. She goes to the apartment. This was another thing I rewound a bunch of times, and I'm still not sure what happened. She goes back to the apartment. She's going, Daddy, Dad, where are you, Dad? Daddy? And then she opens a door of the bathroom, I think, and there's a body laying in the bathroom, completely motionless, I think a little bit bloody, and she's taken aback. And I was like, oh my God, they killed her dad.
See, I thought maybe that was at the... Yeah, you know what? I thought that was at the plant when I was first watching it. But maybe it was at the apartment.
She went to the plant afterwards, though.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. She did, yeah.
So, I mean...
I think in my head, I was making that connection that, they had gone to the plant, or that's where she had gone looking for her dad at work.
Right. But then, moments later, it's like she hears him maybe she gets him on the phone.
She does call him from somebody's phone, like that dead guy's phone, I think.
And so I was just completely
lost. I thought that was
who was dead.
Yeah, I thought that was the cook from that one kitchen or whatever. Maybe that was the plant all along, where the dogs were digging in the boxes. I don't know.
I have no idea.
I thought that's who the body was. But yeah, anyway. I just love we're having this deep discussion about a movie where dogs kill people. That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, it was just a little unclear. But then she goes, to where dad works, and that's where the Hagen and the mob finally corner her. Mm-hmm. And then she calms them down by playing music.
While dad has a flamethrower ready to go behind her.
Like he's ready to fight, and but she keeps him calm.
And I gotta say, I'm a sap. I liked that ending. I thought it kind of worked okay. It was, I don't know, there was something tonally about the way they played it long enough for me to kind of get over the, of course she's playing music again, or the like. There's no way this would work. To kind of just appreciating sort of the nonverbal value of it, and it was like sunrise was coming up, and then just that shot of all those dogs just sitting there is it's something to behold. And then Dad and Lily lay down as well, which I don't quite know what to make of that or what we're supposed to take away from that, other than it's just a sweet little thing that they did. But
right. Well, I just kind of assumed that it was all of them deciding that they're all equals or something.
I think that's, you're probably right there.
Something along those lines.
Looking at a high level.
Right. But I still, I didn't, again, I felt like it was all an allegory, and I looked, I couldn't tell what it was an allegory about, because again, I was trying to figure, I don't know a lot about Budapest, so I'm trying to figure out, what...
They have a hotel that's grand.
But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how, what does this mean? And I came back with several different, I never found a thing where the director got into it at all. Mm-hmm. But certainly some reviewers thought it was about homelessness, and that the dogs were supposed to be homeless people, but I didn't think that made any sense, because there is a homeless guy in the movie and he's not very good.
Very true.
And the other thing was like how minorities maybe are treated, or the lower classes or something are treated. I don't know. So I kind of came up empty with all that stuff, and it kind of made me feel like I wish it had just been more about a girl's adventure trying to find her dog. There was a point in the movie where she said she didn't care about finding the dog anymore.
Oh, after she got arrested?
Yeah, and she got home and she was just happy to be there, and her dad was being a cool guy finally. and they're both sort of admitting to each other that they're not, well, he's admitting to her he's been a kind of a jerk, and he's been through a lot, and he's sorry, and he's trying to be a good dad, and he's like, we'll go find the dog. She's like, I don't want the dog. I thought, whoa, what do you mean?
Yeah.
So that was one other place that lost me, because then the rest of the movie played out the way I would expect it to if she didn't say that. But I didn't know what to make of that. What do you make?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I had forgotten that she said that. I liked that scene because it was just nice to see something different from the dad, and there was that. I don't know. There was just that nice moment where he comes. Basically, she got arrested she passed out drunk at a party the night before. She was hanging out with the older kids, and one of the kids had like bought a joint and asked her to hold on to it. So she gets arrested for possession, and the dad comes to pick her up, and he's pissed, as you might expect him to be, because he's a pissed human being, everything prior to that. Mm-hmm. But then, like, there was something where he shook her hand, and he was like, congratulations, you're an adult, basically. And then broke down weeping a little bit. And that was, I didn't see that turn necessarily coming from that character. I really liked it, and then I liked all that stuff that happened back at the apartment. I think I was kind of feeling that she was not being completely honest with him, that she was sort of just trying to be nice to him because of what happened there.
Right.
But still was concerned about Hagen. I think in the back of my head, I was thinking that maybe, whether that necessarily is on screen or not, I don't know. Because, that is a confusing thing to have her specifically say that when that's all she's done is care about this dog. And you need her too. Like that, it breaks down if she doesn't.
Exactly. And also it's just my own bias for how I thought the movie was supposed to go. Mm-hmm. Like there's no way she could betray that she loves this dog, like she loves the dog loves her. That's the whole way it's going to come together. So if she
so you think you would have you would have so you think maybe like the dog goes through everything that it goes through, hell and back, it goes through the dog fighting training and all that crap, and then the movie becomes more about the dog just getting back to her, less turning all the other dogs against humanity.
Well, honestly, I thought the dog was still going to be turning other dogs against humanity. Although, man, even that's still tough. Like, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, no, it's really tough because it's such an absurd thing.
He's been through so much stuff. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a certain parallel there. But I just figured, like the tension in the movie to me, I thought was going to be more about how she goes out. Like she's basically essentially going to run away and live on the streets to find her dog. And her dad's going to go out of his mind, and he's going to be looking for her. So the police are going to be looking for her. Meanwhile, she's always looking for the dog. And meanwhile, Hagen, who's been through a bunch of crap and is, obviously disturbed at this point, puts together all his dogs because he's going to destroy humanity because he doesn't know what else to do. And so basically, you've got wonderful Lily, who all she wants to do is find her beloved dog, basically like walking into a dog trap. Like it would just be this tension of just like, oh my God, like if they find her, like he's just going to kill her because he just wants to kill everybody now.
Right.
And it's very dangerous, but it just doesn't.
I mean, I think you do, they definitely play a couple moments there at the end where you think maybe he's so far gone as a dog that he might hurt her.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, when he finally catches up with her.
Right.
It just sort of meanders on her end a little bit.
Sure.
And so that just felt a little soft to me.
I do think, if there's one problem with the dogs being so interesting and like dynamic to watch, it's that the human side is just inevitably less interesting in this movie, and that is tough to sort of have both kind of be at that level.
Yeah.
When you have these dogs doing what they're doing, even the stuff that's crazy at the end.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't know. I mean, I think it's a movie that I have no trouble saying, if you're listening to this podcast and you know what you're getting into, like, you got to see this thing, because I do think like I can't compare it to another movie. Like, I don't know anything else that's like this whatsoever. The fact that I'm referencing Gremlins should be pretty obvious to that fact.
Yeah.
But I will say, I I watched this movie with my 2 dachshunds on the couch for the entire movie.
They enjoyed it.
They slept through the whole thing.
Oh boy.
It was just funny because sometimes they do, I was like, oh man, all these dogs are barking this movie. One of my dogs in particular, I thought, okay, he's going to start barking, get up and go run around like insanity. And nothing, not a word. Which then I should mention, oh man, I absolutely love the shot of, I think it was when they were in the pound, there was like a shot of like 5 dogs watching Tom and Jerry on TV.
Oh yeah.
And that's just another great shot, just seeing those reactions. One line I wrote down that I thought was particularly fun and perhaps a cultural thing, and I don't know, maybe they were making fun of it or not, but there's an older, like a teenage boy in this movie who's probably about 17 or 18, and then an older girl who also plays trumpet in this band. And at that party, those two, who I guess are somewhat of a couple, are walking, and the boy says, "You smell nice. What is it?" And the girl says, "Ed Hardy." And then he's like, "What?" He said, "Ed Hardy."
Yes.
Ed Hardy cologne or perfume or whatever. And I wasn't sure if that is, I think we're not supposed to think that they genuinely think that, oh man, that's really nice stuff,
It's hard to imagine. Yes. In the US, that would just be a comic line 100%.
For sure. Yeah. I guess it's like the Drakkar Noir of the 80s. But, anything else you want to say about this movie?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
Let's give it to the dogs.
Let's get to the dogs.
Yeah, so White God, which is not White Dog, the Samuel Fuller movie about a dog that's been trained to be racist, although that's worth watching as well, is streaming on Netflix right now. Go check it out and let us know what you think.
Please do.
Should we talk about it next time?
Let's talk about it next time, Shawn. So in the next full episode, we're going to be watching a movie called The Comfort of Strangers. It's a 1990 film, directed by Paul Schrader.
Schrader.
It's from a book by Ian McEwan, who's awesome. It stars all the people you would expect. I should have had this up already.
And not expect.
It stars people you both expect and do not expect, like Christopher Walken, Natasha Richardson, Rupert Everett, Helen Mirren. This is amazing. What an amazing cast.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're going to be watching this. We're going to have a special guest on the show. We're not going to tell you who it is. Not yet. It's going to be a surprise. So we really want you to tune in. This person has a lot of insight into movies and sight. So tune in next time. Find and watch The Comfort of Strangers. It's not streaming, so you kind of got your work cut out for you there. But go seek it out. It's out there somewhere waiting for you. Find it, watch it, and then join us back here. We'll be talking about Comfort of Strangers. Be there.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that one. That cast sounds awesome, and
it does.
Boy, I had no clue that this movie existed.
No,
and
not at all.
Yeah, I've only seen 1 or 2 movies that Paul Schrader has directed, so that's always fun to get into as well.
Oh, and also Dante Spinati, who I believe is a regular of Michael Mann's. Let's look that up before I start spouting.
I was going to say Scorsese, but that's not right.
Dante Spinati did L.A. Confidential, did Heat, Public Enemy. So that counts as a semi-regular Michael Mann.
He's
done a lot of cool stuff. That's your DP on Comfort of Strangers. This is a strong group of people. This should be an interesting thing, no matter what.
Maybe they should have called it The Comfort of Strongers.
That is fantastic.
We should probably end on that note.
Yes.
It's not going to get better.
No.
So, as always, thanks for listening, and keep those suggestions coming. This was a fun one to do, and the next one will be fun as well. And probably the next one after that, too. You never know.
That's right. And then there will be a dud. Like, probably right then. And then the next one will be super fun.
Oh, man. I'm already looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Thank you, Shawn, for this podcast and many others.
Good night.